Now then, people, welcome back to another episode of the Counterpoint, the Just Joe football show in conjunction with One Leeds. We're here to discuss all the latest goings on at Leeds United and obviously discuss both our thoughts. Someone's just said something about coffee and I wanted to bring it up because I need it today because I didn't sleep very well. Early mornings.
Why has he said that? Now I need one.
Oh, really? To be fair, this is my second already. I'm on that stuff.
That's why you've got to go. There we go. You can be live for this. Hold on. Where is she? Hold on. Here we go. This is where I get dumped. Hi, you're right. Just wonder if you could bring me a coffee. I know you're working, but I appreciate that. Thank you. See what happens. I get one of these round the door.
Really? I love that. Here we go. Stephen says, morning, guys. Good to catch on a live stream. Ben says, morning, legends. Philip says, Joe and Connor, top boys. Morning, Lord. Shio, Gareth, J Racer. Everyone's in the house this morning. Now, Connor, before we begin, I've got a bone to pick with you.
Yes, here we go. What time are we on? 10:08. I don't even know if I need this coffee now.
I've got a bone to pick with you because yesterday I put a comment on your channel, right? And I watched your response and you went, Joe, you agree with me? And I was like, what is this guy on about? So today you shall answer for your crimes towards Ilya Gruev because still you persist with wanting Rothwell and Ampadu. Rothwell over Gruev. Tanaka, we can have a conversation, but for me, Ilya Gruev has arguably been one of our most consistent performers this season. Now, I know you used to play in midfield. Is it something you see that I'm not seeing? Because for me, Gruev is quality. So this is the first. You said that I always agree. This is a point that we definitely don't agree on. Ilya Gruev for me has been exceptional this season. Change my mind, my man.
All right. So if Tanaka, Ampadu, and Gruev are available going forward, which two are you picking?
I'm sticking with my man, Gruev.
You've been stubborn. You know you wouldn't.
No, I am serious. Tell me what he's done wrong this season.
Why did you text me saying, Connor, you are right about Tanaka and Ampadu? Gruev needs to be benched on Saturday after the game. Why did you text me that?
When did I text you that? He's lying. He's lying. When did I text you that? You don't do that to me.
See the worry in his face.
I was like, what? I did not text him this, people. Do not believe the hype. I can't believe that, man. My head went, have I texted him that?
Now, I can't remember. Now, we do hours and hours and hours and hours of streaming, which is probably why you can tell we're as groggy as we are this morning. Rothwell, I remember smashing the drum of Tanaka at the weekend, but I've always been consistent with it with Gruev, and I'll say it to the chat as well, and I'll say it to you. Is it unfair of me to say? And you did agree, Joe, when we mentioned the 4-1-4-1. I think when Tanaka comes in there, which I think he will do long term. I think at the weekend it was a fabulous performance defensively and going forward from him. So assured. I think going forward, this guy helps us in many areas, and I think as well, if we do fluctuate to a bit of a 4-1-4-1 going forward, which I think naturally you will do with Tanaka in there, I think Ampadu at the base is the best midfield. It's just more of a balance. I think we've had this chat, haven't we?
My counterpoint to that though would be when Tanaka came on, he played in the Ampadu role, not the Gruev role, and was picking it up in between the centre backs and was playing more defensive than what Gruev was. So he's doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I'd say I wonder if I don't know if that was instruction. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure on how Gruev and Tanaka is as a balance. I would say if it was Ampadu and Tanaka, I think Tanaka is going to be the furthest forward. Gruev and Tanaka I'd not thought about, to be honest with you, but now Gruev's been pushed a little bit further up the field. Don't know, maybe that's something that Farke's going to be instructing. I would rather have Tanaka further up. It's where he played for Dusseldorf. It's why he got as many assists and goals as he did. And for the Japan national side as well, he played
last season. He played deeper.
Yeah, but Tanaka. if he's getting how many goals and assists did he get? What was it? 10 like
10
7 or 8
goal involvements, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we know from that he's getting further forward. I think that's pretty obvious. But I don't know, mate. I think, to be honest,
Do you think Gruev deserves to come out of the side?
I think he's. It's not about
that. Should be a flat no. That should be a flat. He doesn't deserve to come out.
No, it's not okay. Deserved, no, but I don't understand. I don't understand why it's me like lambasting Gruev for me to say that there's a more effective balance in there for me with Tanaka and Ampadu. Look, I get the fact that Gruev.
Can you concede that Rothwell isn't it?
I'm not saying enough of him.
But you were waxing lyrical on him enough to say get him in over Gruev, where you've seen enough of Gruev.
Yeah, but I didn't see enough of, for example, last year with Anthony, we didn't see enough of him to make a proper judgment on him, did we? We didn't see enough.
Rubbish, man.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be. But yeah, okay, right, fine. But I think it's difficult with Rothwell. I think a lot of people, when you're looking at it, for me, should be able to grasp the fact that with Rothwell, he's obviously more of an advanced player. He is, but if he's only getting 15 to 20 minutes per game, how can you make a solid judgment on it? I understand that with Gruev, we've seen a lot of him. Has he been better this season? I think he has been. I think there's still been games of which I'm a little bit like, okay, can we get a little bit more from said player on the bench? But like you did say, and you are right, I will say this, when Tanaka did come on, I was quite surprised by the fact that he was as deep as he was. And that was obviously instruction. I didn't expect that. I thought it'd be a little bit further up. Now, maybe that was just the game state. I'm not 100% sure.
I think the whole fan base thought that, though, Connor. We all thought Gruev would drop into Amp. We all thought that. Evie mentioned it last night on the Counterpoint. She was also surprised by that. I did the watch along saying, oh my God, he's picking up where Ampadu is. And so, yeah, I think we all thought that, to be fair to you. But that also shows just how much faith, I guess, the manager has it. Because if we look at, he nearly scored at the weekend as well, Gruev. He played a lovely ball over the top for Bogle that didn't. Yeah. I mean, so did Tanaka in one of the goals, of course, for Pirro, but he also did. Bogle didn't finish it, of course, but he's got everything what everyone else has got in the locker. This is why, and maybe I come to his defense because he gets an unfair shake. What's been really frustrating me, Connor, is people assume that Tanaka's an out-and-out 8 and they go, why are we playing with 2 6s? Even though Gruev predominantly isn't playing as a 6 for me. The majority of the time, his heat map shows you that. And then when Tanaka came on, he then adopted the Ampadu role, so Gruev's still doing. And I wonder if people were going, why are we playing with 2 6s? They probably weren't. They just want to see a new shiny toy, because the general consensus among the fan base, from what they hear, is that Gruev's no good, get Tanaka in. And I feel that that's just wrong, because Gruev, for me, has arguably been one of our most consistent performers this season, I think.
So you'd keep Tanaka on the bench, would you?
I mean, yeah, for the short term, yeah, I think he's going to play now, because obviously Ampadu, and it'll be interesting to see. Would you, tomorrow night, let's say, I don't think he'll risk Ampadu, and I don't think he should. Would you want to see Gruev play the deep line playmaker role and let Tanaka play as a more but like you said, look, in and around the ground, it was surprising. In and around the ground, it wasn't just me who's saying. Yeah, no, of course.
I think what was interesting is the fact that he was dropping deep to get hold of the ball. I don't know if it was because he was dropping deep because he's a lovely player on the ball, a really lovely player on the ball, really silky. So I don't know if he's just the best player in terms of dictating the tempo from deep. I don't know. Sometimes Kamara do the same thing, but overall you'd see Kamara being probably the furthest forward when it came to the midfielders throughout the season. But yeah, listen, I thought this is the thing. Like, I didn't think Gruev was bad. I've never once said that he was bad on any of my videos. For a large span of it, I've just said this is what I don't really understand. Like, if you're saying Gruev is slightly more limited than Tanaka, slightly more limited than Rothwell in certain areas,
I don't think he's limited than Rothwell.
Who's going to score more goals in a season if they're playing overall a season, Rothwell or Gruev? It's going to be Rothwell, innit? That's all I'm saying.
Based on... See, Gruev's had a number of efforts this season that on another day could have gone in. There's no guarantees that Rothwell's scoring them as well.
Yeah, true. True. There is that, but obviously Rothwell only played 16 games last season, didn't he? He scored 4 goals, but
that's fair.
Which is more than Gruev. But it's not the fact. Like I'm really confused as to why you can't say that. Like I don't think Gruev's been bad. I just think the balance in the midfield will be a little bit better. But I will concede the fact that when Tanaka was dropping deep between the centre backs, I was quite surprised at that, because throughout the games we've seen this season, Gruev does that. Gruev drops between the centre backs, picks up the ball and tries to move it. Especially you've seen it in the away games where I think there's a little bit more protection there with him going there. I don't dislike Gruev. I don't not like him in that double pivot role. I just think when you've got Ampadu in there, Gruev and Ampadu are quite similar. As Gruev developed a little bit this season in terms of going forward, I think he's been further forward this season. Is there more? Have we got better players on the in the squad statistically in that role that could help Leeds going forward a little bit? I think we have. But if Tanaka is going to drop deep even further and that's going to be his role, then there's no conversation really, because it's going to be difficult then, isn't it? Because then you've got 2 defensively minded players.
So in an ideal world, then I guess your starting lineup wouldn't include Gruev, right? Because my ambition this season is to change your mind on that.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I've said. What have I said? But I don't understand what's so offensive with what I've said about Gruev. I just said he was a limited. No, my point is going forward. What's wrong with that?
And I disagree though. That's the point. And I don't think he needs to be. This isn't about what you don't rate him. I rate him.
I'm not saying that rate.
The first go to from your side, your counterpoint is, we need to replace him with someone who is better. And I say, well, he is the better. So he's not warranted coming out of the side as of yet. So I think that, and like all Bob says, is there a reluctance to give him praise? Have you made a mind up on a player that you don't want to change? Because I think we've seen enough from him this season to say, do you know what? I think I might have been wrong on Gruev, and therefore, I don't know why I would change it. We're winning games of football. We haven't conceded a goal away from home, and he's a big part of that. You mentioned, obviously, when he drops in as well. They're all asked to do that. And I guess my point is, I want to get, because I don't understand how we can say he's fine, he's okay, he was all right. I think there's better options, because for me, all I'm seeing week in, week out, he's 7s out of 10s. And I don't know why you would change a 7 out of 10 player week in, week out. I don't think he's had one bad game.
That's fine. I just think if Ampadu isn't there, and I just we've not seen a balance of Ampadu and Tanaka yet for a period of time, I would suggest that if Ampadu's in there with Tanaka, Ampadu naturally being that sweeper midfielder, I think you've seen that probably with Gruev, which has surprised me a little bit this season, that Gruev's playing a little bit further forward. Yeah, 100% has. Are there goals there this season? No. But Gruev has been a little bit further forward this season, which I've enjoyed seeing, and I've given him his plaudits on that. 100% have this season. I just think when it's an Ampadu-Tanaka pairing, I think at the start of the season, everybody was saying that was going to be ideal. Everybody was looking at his record with the Japan national team and Dusseldorf and saying, yeah, that's the player that we need. Suddenly, he's not the player that we need, and Gruev and Ampadu is the best balance. And I understand that is developed on form, of course, but
obviously the change in Gruev's role this season is totally different to what we saw last season, Connor. We saw that in pre-season. Farkas mentioned it himself, asking him to get further forward. So I hear what you're saying pre the season starting, but having seen what Gruev's given in the season, it's a totally different role. He's playing a lot different, let's say, than what he was last season. That goes without saying, I think. Do you think Tanaka would be further forward? Let's say if it was. Why didn't he play there at the weekend?
But I'm saying if that's what's happening now, hypothetically, if that's what's happening, let's say if Ampadu is dropping deeper now and Gruev is going forward, I would presume that, let's say hypothetically, if Gruev was injured, Tanaka would be playing a little bit further forward as well. Yeah. I would suggest that Tanaka is probably going to be more of a goal threat than what Gruev would be. That was my suggestion from the start of the season. Do I think we need 2 defensive players protecting that back line with the quality the caliber of squad that we have? No. I don't think we need that. I mean, you've had that discussion. I think you agree where a 4-1-4-1 would be, but you're saying, and the chat is saying, understandably, that Gruev has been playing further forward this season. That's fine. That's fine. And I don't think he's been bad whatsoever. I genuinely have never said he's been bad this season, not once. But I just think he's a bit more of a limited footballer going forward than what Tanaka would be, even if Tanaka was dropping deep at the weekend.
Right.
No,
I hear what you're saying, and Dan sort of agrees with your point. He says, "I get what you're saying, but we have more chances of goals." My counterpoint to that is, well, why yesterday when he had 50, 60 minutes, whatever it was,
you always make me laugh how you get the days wrong. You always say yesterday and it's Monday.
No, but Saturday. Why, Dan? This is for Dan and for you. Why did he then play deeper than Gruev? Explain. So I guess the real kicker with this point, Dan, is, and I'm willing to hold my hands up, is if tomorrow against Norwich, Ampadu's not fit, which I don't think he will be, we see Tanaka playing in that left-hand channel and we see Ampadu being the deep line playmaker. If he doesn't do that, then I think this point is null and void because the manager who knows, we can critique that. No doubt you will. You say, look, them two should be switched round. Yeah. But if tomorrow that lineup comes up and we see Tanaka deep lying and Gruev more prominent in the attack, then the manager also agrees with the point that I'm making. We can critique that, but
as I keep having to say, because the chat is coming for me, which is fine. I get it. But
you can get next week, pal. You can get you asked for this. You asked for this yesterday. There we go.
Frothy as well. Look at that.
Nice.
Hold on. I think what I will say, and it's a good chat. This I enjoy it. This is a good one. I think. Look, once again, I have to say this. I like Gruev. I think he's a good footballer. I think he's a bit limited going forward. My preference would be to have a more profitable midfielder going forward and adding to the side another option, another arm, another bow to our attack. That is what I'm talking about here. If you want me to admit I'm wrong about Gruev and me saying he's a crap footballer, he's this, that, and that, I've never said that. Ever said that. I've said I know you're not saying that, mate, but I've said he's a limited footballer going forward. Do I sometimes get frustrated at him going sideways and backwards? That's something we can talk about. Because is he looking to go forward a little bit more? I'll tell you what, I was at the ground at the weekend and I was saying the exact same. I was saying he's looking to pick the pass quicker and he's looking to pick the pass going forward. So 100% that has developed. If you're asking me the question still, when Ampadu's fit, who's the best midfielder we've got, does he slot back in? Yeah. 100%. So then we're having a conversation. Ampadu's the deepest lying midfielder we have, in my opinion. He's the deepest lying midfielder. Yeah. So if he's that deepest lying midfielder, you're asking me then a simple question of who in the attacking sphere of that double pivot would I prefer, Tanaka or Gruev? It's Tanaka for me. Right. Over a season, it is Tanaka. And that is no disparaging comment on Gruev. Look, if the manager wanted to go to a 3 in midfield, Joe, we can have a conversation about putting Gruev in there as well. If he's developed as that number 6, that sort of 6/8, and you are all saying that, he's going to be better than Rothwell going forward, he's going to be better this, that, and the other, then fine, we can have that conversation. But we know the manager's not going to go to a 3. So that's not my fault. It's not the people's fault who, are saying that we can't divvy to that, because I think we could do that. But if you're asking me, because Ampadu comes in, Ampadu sits, Ampadu's the anchor every single time. He splits the centre-backs. Who's the more attacking midfielder I would prefer? It is, for me, it's Tanaka. And I am surprised. I'm surprised that it's a good problem to have. I've seen a lot of the chat saying that. It's a good problem to have.
This point is amazing. Yeah, that point, though, what you're just making, rotate all 4 for game weeks like this. There is a conversation with, imagine last season Ampadu gets injured, Connor. We're all like the shit sitting the fan. This season, we're relaxed about it, to be fair. And it's good that we can have such a heated debate about this, because that shows that we have options, right?
Yeah, 100%, mate. And I think it's very, very, very right to say that Gruev looks like this is the thing. And I will say that sometimes like, you know, obviously you get passionate when you're talking about Leeds. You do the same thing, but it was interesting, and I didn't pick up on it in my post match. I was too busy going on about how great we were and all this sort of stuff. In that particular game, I didn't really specifically pick up on the fact that Tanaka was deeper, but he was. I was more focused on the fact that he'd completed 29 out of 31 passes. Every single one was brilliant. His balance, his tempo. Yeah. And that maybe that's the thing. Maybe the fact that he's now the tempo dictator, which it looks like he is, maybe he will be dropping deep. I think you're stripping him away a little bit, because I think he'd be good in that attacking third. But having options of him, Gruev and Rothwell is decent. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it is what it is, isn't it?
Good point. Do you know, you made the point as well about needing the double pivot in some games, and if whether or not that's the right thing, and I've agreed with you at times on this, as you've mentioned, but having seen now, Connor, the defensive numbers we're putting up, we literally do you know we've conceded 2 big chances all season, which is insane. And as a fan, okay, it might not be as exciting, a la Cardiff, for example.
Yeah,
but I'm sort of willing to give up that excitement if it means that we are as defensively solid as that. I mean, I wanted to get your opinion on that. Do you subscribe to that thinking, or are you still saying, you know, let's open it up a bit? Because if we have the ball and if teams can't create chances, we will win 9 out of 10 games. And I think there needs to be a shift within the fan base to sort of accept sometimes games are going to be boring. Like probably some yesterday. You were at the ground, you can tell me. When we came out for the second half and we played in that mid-block and just said, right, you have the ball. I remember we did it against Norwich last season as well, and Kenny McLean was dictating, but we were in front and we were comfortable. Do you enjoy that, or would you still like us to go for the jugular? Because I thought it was good tactics, and people say it's tactically inept, and I thought it was good to say, right, we've got 2 in front. Now we'll go in that mid-block and we'll just catch you on the counter. So that's, I think, the positive to having defensive-minded players in the middle, because if you can't create a chance, you can't score a goal.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think as a content creator though, you're fighting against the negative? I don't think there's been. I think maybe after the Burnley game, people, including myself, were a little bit worried about the strategy. Like, is it going to be a little bit more of last season? I think the Coventry game, how good we were was
great, weren't we?
I didn't expect that, and that was
I was nervous, Connor. I was genuinely nervous.
I remember you saying it was almost like the trickiest game in your book, wasn't it, in terms of coming up? But I thought we'd win, expected we'd win, but it was a tough game. Did I think Cardiff and Coventry would go as well as that? Nah. I didn't. I didn't. I thought we'd win both, but I didn't think it'd be as comfortable. That's been surprising. But I don't think I've been fighting against the negative, pessimistic fan. Like, I get people in my chat saying "Farker out, Farker out, Farker out, Farker out" all the time, and that's their opinion.
Which is insane, isn't it? It
is. Yeah, it is. It is. I fully believe it is. Like, my perspective on the manager is, if we're in the Premier League, which we have to talk about because we are Leeds United and that's where our destiny is. It's the Premier League. We are, a club that is, I'm actually releasing a video, Joe, this morning about the stadium expansion and details on that. And we're looking to increase the stadium to 53,000, all this sort of stuff. The 49ers want to be back there. Do I think we'll be back there? Yeah. Do I think this guy's here for the long term? I don't think that's going to happen. But short term, right now, when you're taking a step back and you're looking at it, he's won 2 championships with Norwich. I have to. I look at
say
the
back
it.
End. Go on.
I look at
what
the back.
What did he get last season? How many points did he get? Come on,
90-point trophy, obviously. But you have to take into account his season last year. Joe, for me, 3 league wins in 11. He failed last year. He did for me with that squad. However, you come into this season and you're seeing Leeds start on a really good trajectory. And the Burnley game for me was disappointing. The West Brom game was disappointing. It's going to be interesting, Joe, because I mentioned this, but the rest have been aside from Portsmouth, have been good. So it's going to be interesting coming up against Norwich, Sunderland, Sheffield United, because these are the games of which are your West Broms and your Burnleys. And it's interesting because last season we struggled, didn't we, against the bottom 6, bottom 7. We've done really well against the bottom 6, bottom 7 so far. So if we can turn that as well into playing up against the top 7, 8 and getting performances, there's going to be a real good balance. The Leeds are going to be in a very good flow state right now. We've got a few tough games coming up with injuries, so it's going to be interesting how we get through this. But have we got the capabilities? Yeah. But Daniel Farke, he's doing a good job at so far. But Joe, we can back him. People can't back him, but it's a game based on results. So if Farke goes and loses the next 3 games, we might have a little bit of a different opinion on what's going on. If he goes and wins the next 3 games, then we turn around and go, well, bloody hell, what a fantastic start. But unfortunately, what we do, as you know, mate, it's reactionary. You have to do that. You can believe in the guy. You don't have to believe in the guy. But ultimately, it's a reaction-based business. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, mate.
Well, I had Gabe on my post-match the other day, and I did rate, like, he said, like, look, I'm not the manager's biggest fan, but he's the best man for the job right now. And I think it's better to just say that and just say, yeah, look, don't rate him really, if I'm being honest. And long term, he might not be here, but right now, yeah, he's doing a good job. And that's probably the best attitude to take if you aren't a fan of his. And I do sort of subscribe to your thinking that, look, Premier League is going to be a massive test for him because history shows us he's struggled. I probably will give him longer than most fans because I'll want it to work well. I can imagine it's going to be like pulling teeth. First 5 games, 1 win, a couple of draws. It'll be like Leicester fans with Steve Cooper. Get him out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you also right now, if you're to get rid of him right now. And you said to me at the start of the season, Connor, which one are you? Because I think you were getting a bit frustrated by me almost getting splinters in my ass. But that's why I was never saying it. I was never saying I want him out. And I've always said that. And at the start, Joe, what did we say at the end of last season? I said if an exceptional manager becomes available, there's a conversation to be had there after how last season ended. We said that on the count. I said that on the counterpoint. If an exceptional manager becomes available at the start of the season, it didn't happen. Okay. Now I'm hearing Corberan this, Corberan that. I like Corberan. I do. You know how much I like him. You know how much I like him. I've spoken about him before, and you've asked me about him on the counterpoint before. However, what a lot of people don't take into consideration, from my perspective, is if you're to change a manager right now, everything changes. Certain players, who plays, who doesn't play, their coaching systems, their style being embedded into the squad. When we've got 2 games a week, how are you going to do that? How are you going to get to know the players? Changing a manager is massive. It's huge, and you can't just flip a switch. I mean, the Scummers are going on about it again, aren't they? After yesterday's loss, but you flip that switch, you change your manager, you move on from Ten Hag.
He does need changing though. He's fucking.
But mate, you move on. You move from Farke to Corberan. It is completely different.
Oh yeah, and
completely different.
As we're already seeing, again, this is what's and it is reaction rate. Not so much from. I think we're pretty like no one in the space yet has said get him out and get Corberan in, but a lot have been saying it on social media. And in a week's time, them 2 have lost games. Like I said in my preview, bro, the ideal weekend for the fan base. Yeah. I would have been okay if they'd have won, but I just thought for the fan base to relax a little bit was for West Brom and Sunderland to lose and us to win. And it came true, and it was amazing because now we're 2 points off top. For me, Connor, I still think there's a level to go up for Leeds United, by the way. I still don't think we're at our scintillating best. Not by any stretch.
Nonso was big for that. So, I think it's second year.
The last 2 games for me, for Nonto, have been great. I've been quite critical of him. I didn't see what everyone else was seeing up to this point, but the last 2 games, he's been great. And I tell you what I like most.
Gabe's been the same. Just to add to your point as well, you were saying on the counterpoint as well, quite rightly, because that was your opinion. Solomon, Aronson, Ramazani, and you were saying, well, I just don't really see what Nonso's bringing. Gabe's saying the exact same. Don't really see what he's been saying. But if he's putting in performances of which you don't rate, you're going to say, well, do you know what, Connor? I'm not 100% sure. So I understand what you're saying there. I completely get it. And as I say, it's reactionary, isn't it? If Willian also puts in 2 really good performances, you're going to say for that 3rd game, well, do you know what? Let's keep him in. You don't have a crystal ball, Joe.
No, and I think the most impressive thing I've seen from Nonto is his willingness to ride challenges now. The penalty that we were given against Cardiff, the red card, he actually gets up and goes on to try and score. There was a couple yesterday where he's riding challenges. Same said for Aronson. I can't remember, bro, without looking back, your initial thoughts on Aronson. I know I was quite big on it at the time, because I just felt at this level. How impressed have you been with Brendan so far this season? Because I think, again, he's been one of the standout players for me.
Excellent, absolutely excellent. And I've mentioned previously his, I'd say, you know, what how do I describe this? So at the end of the Premier League campaign, I turned round and I thought, because believe it or not, everybody, me and Joe are fans. We're not analysts. We're not pundits. I thought, and I think a lot of other people thought, which, you know, we have this digital footprint, which people can go back and check. I thought he wasn't physical enough. And he didn't have it up here for the Championship even. I thought he was going to struggle. I thought he wouldn't be able to ride challenges, as you just mentioned with Nonto. I thought it would be a physical league for him. And to be honest, barring the first sort of 5-6 games in the Premier League, Chelsea, etc., I hadn't seen an abundance of quality, which I was looking at and thinking that could be transferred to the Championship and built on. Didn't see it. But then you saw Firpo, you saw Dan James, you saw Rutter and Somerville develop at that league, that step down, which has been crucial in their career. You look at Firpo, he's a man reborn. I think that step down to the Championship has been huge for him. I think with Aronson, the step down has been massive, but I also absolutely love the fact that in interviews he's been very, very sensible. He's not been going over the top. He's been saying, look, focusing on my performance and we'll see where we're at. I'm trying to win the fans round. We'll see where I'm at, sort of thing. But his weight of pass, his selection of that pass as well, his IQ in certain areas, his turn on the, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I always thought with Aronson, he was predictable. Head down, was going to run into you after 3 or 4 touches, and he was always going to go on his right side. He's going on his left side now. He's unpredictable. And I think that's been a key thing that's developed in his game, his unpredictability and his weight of passing in that number 10. You're actually looking at a scenario now, Joe, where in January, do you need a number 10? That's a proper conversation to be having because Aronson has been so good so far. But Willie Gnonto on the right for me isn't as good as he is on the left or centrally. I think centrally, Willie Gnonto, that's still his best position, but Aronson's there. But Willie Gnonto still is his weakest on the right for me. He's second best on the left, and his best is centre. Everything good that came from Willie Gnonto was in that centre space at the weekend. So overall, mate, really happy with Brendan Aronson, and now we have multiple options in that 10 role. Really,
it's really good to see. I don't think anybody put a foot wrong yesterday. Really,
what do you, Solomon?
Yeah, well, this is what I said. We'll find out, won't we, if he's fit. I think, look, I know I was quite big on him. You had certain opinions, and obviously, you say a lot was tied to injury. I was all right with it being the back, but then we hear it's gone to his hammy, was it, or something like that? So it's sort of like moved down his body. Hopefully, we'll hear something today that says he might make tomorrow, because he, for me, again, if he is fit, He had something. Now, would I start him after what I've seen from Largy, Gnonto, and Aronson? Not right now. Not right now. He has to earn his place. I think what's most impressed me with Largy yesterday was his ability to hold up the ball, Connor. He's about 5'0" and weighs nothing, and he's like chesting it down with centre back. I'm like, what's going on? I didn't think he had that in his locker. So he really impressed me yesterday, did Largy, and I think he'll easily become a bit of a fan favourite. You were at the ground. Does he get a good response when he's on the ball?
Yeah, they all get up when he's got the ball. Connor, everyone was waiting on your channel at 8. This is me scheduling something again, which is at the wrong time. I need to stop doing this. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, mate. But yeah. Yeah, I think what's his strength, Joe, is fantastic. There just seems to be a real equal distribution between the three in behind Joseph. I want to talk about Joseph, by the way, so make sure you have that on the show list. But yeah, I think the balance between all three of them, they just seem to be on the same wavelength. I felt when Solomon was in there, he was brief, but everything was going on Solomon's side. Everything was going on that left-hand side, and I feel like the distribution is very equal between that three and behind Joseph. And that was evident. There was stuff coming from Gnonto, there was bits coming from Aronson, there was bits coming from Ramazani. And it was that unpredictability again, of which I feel sometimes last season, Somerville in that attacking third at points this season when Solomon was in there, in that attacking third, it's obvious where we're going to go. And I mean, the whole battle with Solomon was Solomon versus Coyle, Solomon versus Coyle, Solomon versus Coyle. That was the entire battle against Hull. There was no real fluidity I didn't feel in that 3, and that's why for me it sticks as what it is right now. And maybe there's more of a thing to it as well, Joe. Do you know what? Ramazani's our player as well, and that's not to. I mean, and maybe we can have a conversation.
I hear that.
But then we can have a conversation about Rothwell, can't we? Because he's not our player as well. So there's a point there as well. So, but Ramazani's our player, isn't he? He's a big investment. So yeah, I think you've got to give him the nod a bit for me.
I do want to bring this up, and this isn't to send shots at you. Well, I mean, you've made the point, but it's not just yourself that's made it. I don't like that when we give praise, it always has to come with a yeah, but. Like, I see it in my comments all the time because I do get giddy. And I'm aware of this. I do run away.
No, you don't.
Things. And people keep telling me yesterday in my comments, like, calm down. It's only this. They're rubbish. They're this. No, I believe, Connor, we're making teams look like this. Hull City, everyone told me they're dead. They've scored 7 goals in 2 games since we've played them. 7 and won both. 4 and 3. Yeah, so this whole Coventry we made them look poor. I think Lockie made the best point yesterday is that the way that we're playing at the minute, we nullify any threat whatsoever that the opposition gives us. Chef Wednesday, oh yeah, the rubbish Danny Roll going to play a certain way, blah, 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 blah. They got beat, they beat West Brom. No one beats Wednesday at Hillsborough. Nobody. We were the last team to do it. We've done it again this season. They either draw or they win. They don't lose at home. I just feel it's unfair. I remember your tweet the other week when it was like, just to put it into perspective, we've only beat this team, and we've played 5. But last season, we don't win them games. So I think it's like, at what stage can we just say, you know what? Managers, do you think, like, if he was to get big points this week, this should quell any of this, surely? Away at Norwich, away at Sunderland, this should quell any notion that, it's because they're poor, or it's, there shouldn't be a yeah, but for me. We're winning. We've lost 1 game. We're knocking teams out of the park, even without being convincing at times. That should just be it for me.
Yeah. As Chris said there, you can only beat what's in front of you, and that is true. I think the bit about Wednesday's interesting. Obviously, they beat West Brom at home at the weekend 3-2. That's got to be taken into consideration as well. I think we mentioned previously as well, Joe. Well, I said right at the start that we didn't do this last season. We struggled against the lower half teams, and I think it's interesting now, isn't it? The balance of which, because I think we played Ipswich really early last season. I'm pretty sure we played another top team in the top 6, top 7, and we'd got
Ipswich were our first win, bro. They were our first win.
Yeah. I can't remember if we played anyone in that top 6 last season at the start of it. I'll have to go back and have a look, but it felt like against the top team straight away we're pretty efficient. I think fans maybe still have in their heads from being at the game at the weekend, from the people I was chilling out with, that it's that sort of, it's a big month coming up. Can they be happy with what's gone on? Of course they can. Are some of them happy? I genuinely believe, this is my perspective, that some fans won't be happy until he's out. That's the general feel I get, which I think is mental. I do think that's mad. That's the general feel I get from some fans. But I also think that if he picks up points, 3 points, and I want to get your thoughts as well going forward in terms of the points this week and stuff. But I think if he gets some points this week, some really good points against a very good Norwich side at the minute, who seem to just 3 points behind us, but have seemed to picked up some form recently. They're all really behind the new manager as well. Sunderland under Regis Labris, who, for argument's sake, have probably been one of the best sides in the surprise packages this season. Then Sheffield United, if we can pick up 7 points or maybe more, then they've got nothing to say, really. They've got nothing to say. I think it's right to be a little bit cautious, but to not enjoy what's going on and to not enjoy the wins because you're too worried about what's coming up. I think you've just got to bask in it.
I agree with you. That's the thing, isn't it? When you go too far, you then can't enjoy the positive things because it's like, I've set my stall out now and I can't go back. When, you're allowed to change your opinion. You are allowed to change your opinion, and of course you are. I just think sometimes people go that vitriolic in terms of calling him all names under sun and that it's like, well, I can't come back from this. Or really, you should just hold hands up and say, do you know what, I was wrong.
Do you think as well, social media's mad, because I don't think you get I wouldn't say you get any content creators like saying that. I don't think you get too
No.
many content creators. I'd say you're probably, when Leeds win, me and you are probably matched. I think me and you are probably matched when Leeds win. And I know I can be a critical thinker. I can be a critical thinker. But if you watch my videos when we win, I do sort of like get ridiculously excited and very, very passionate. And I think that's where sometimes the swing can happen. It's like, sometimes he's really negative, but sometimes he's overly positive. But if you watch the videos when we win, I get very, very excited. That's because you're a fan. You know, I'm a little bit more critical than you are. Yeah, I think I am. But it's just who we are, isn't it, mate? It's just like, you know, I see football in a little bit of a different way, and that's absolutely fine. But we're all Leeds fans at the end of the day, and we all want that common goal, don't we?
Yeah, I think the best. I was watching Saeed last night, a Manchester United fan, by the way, folks. But I was watching Saeed enjoying it, his emergency stream, and there's a guy on there called Flawless, and he made a fantastic point, and he said, like, fans should never be listened to when making decisions about any football club, because ultimately we're too emotionally invested.
Yeah.
That's why, like, you know, like when we go to Cardiff and the, you know, reasons to be critical, especially second half, I said that myself, some fans wanting him out. This is why those at the top, it's better not to have fans at your football club, because the 49ers weren't looking at that result going, do you know what, this isn't good enough, let's get him gone. They were going 3 points on to it next. Yeah, you know what I mean? They were looking at the analytics saying we had 78% of the ball. They didn't create one chance. Do you know what I mean? That's why, and I think that's bang on. You know, we are emotional. That's why me and you can get into disagreements. This is why people in the chat, we can get into disagreements, because ultimately we're emotionally invested. We cannot make decisions.
Do you know what I'll say? Do you know what I'll say as well? It's interesting. You see a lot of people, and I think this is a common rhetoric, and you hear it with Arsenal fans, you hear it with Man United fans, where it's like everything negative that drives clicks and ad revenue. And I've just seen that there. That doesn't work with us, does it, Joe? The majority of our top videos are when Leeds have done well. Like mine are when Leeds have done well. Like my top videos, my top view, my top click videos are when Leeds have done well. Me and Joe have these conversations every single week, everybody. If Leeds lose, what happens, Joe? Especially when
it's not even that, Connor. After Cardiff, it was shite. Yeah, as well, and we won that. It's because there wasn't enough in the game for fans to get excited about. Whereas the numbers yesterday, different story on the watch along, because people want to see reactions. Whereas they look at the Cardiff game, we won, but it was shit. I'm not even going to engage. So you are right, and I think a lot of it is due to the fact that we don't have fans that are, you know, oh my God, get him out! Because if you had
other fans coming to us, other fans actually coming to us, that doesn't happen. You know, when you're in the Championship, guys, like an FY notification, you don't get other fans really coming and watching Leeds stuff. When we were in the Premier League, we'd get other fans coming over, and maybe that'd drive engagement up when, you know, you'd be a little bit critical of your team. But down here, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen whatsoever. And I'd also say, you know, go, if you don't believe what I said about, you know, that how excited I personally do get. Hull, Sheffield Wednesday the other day, go and have a look at the reactions there. I was absolutely buzzing. So you're a fan at the end of the day. And look, is what it is, mate. And we do, me and you dedicate our lives to this club. It's it can be challenging, but it's something that we do because we love it, isn't it? If we didn't love it, we wouldn't be doing it.
No, 100%. Before we then talk about these two games coming up for the international break, you said you wanted to talk about Joseph. Let's do just that.
Yeah. Just another rallying call, really, from my perspective. I thought the weekend again, he was excellent without scoring. I think that's what we're going to get with him going on now. I think you know, I think if he'd have grabbed those penalties that Stroud took, there'd be no conversation because he'd have like 3 goals and 3 or 4 assists now as well. At the weekend, he was phenomenal. Again, he was absolutely phenomenal, holding up the ball, linking play. He was just brilliant. I thought didn't get his goal again, but I think I just hope that he doesn't turn with him. I think he's had a really good sort of start to the season without getting as many goals as he should have, of course, but it's the other bit of the play that Perot doesn't do. Perot is a lethal finisher, but for me, he doesn't bring the overall package what Joseph does. Hence why last season we were actually majority of the fan base was calling for Pro to be sacked off for Pat Bamford because we wanted him to do the other bits. Joseph does the other bits and 10 times better than Patrick Bamford. So yeah, I mean, you see it. Obviously, you see it when you're down at the ground, Joe, and he's everywhere. He's everywhere. At one point, the centre back was screaming over to the other one. Sorry, Coventry fans, I can't remember who they are. But he was screaming over to the one who...
Kitchen and Thomas.
Thomas, that was the one. Thomas was screaming at Kitchen to mark him. And Joseph was just running across that back line. They couldn't keep hold of him. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk on him a little bit. And why can we not just enjoy Perot coming off the bench and doing what he's doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do we have to change him? Why do we have to start Perot? Because then for me, it changed the whole setup.
Yeah, G&A merchants, mate. That's what it is. And I made the claim yesterday, and it's a bit of a wild claim, but obviously a striker in certain setups shouldn't be defined by the goals he scores. Because and then actually Grim Reaper did actually comment and say, no, you're right, because you talk about Bobby Firmino. Now, I'm not saying he's doing that because he will add goals to his game as well, Joseph, and will be expected to. And Bobby did score goals at time, but he did facilitate the likes of Salah, the likes of Mane, and I think Joseph does that job well. And I think at the end of the day, like you've just mentioned, we don't get nowhere near as much from Pirro from the start as we do from Joseph. Joseph's done all that running in all that time that then opens up the spaces for Pirro later on when the game's, a little bit more open. So while we're at 0-0, Pirro is not that guy. And Joe made a great point on my show last night. Outside of the goal, Pirro worked great. He kept losing it again. His touches were poor. I said on my watch along, I don't know if you were in the ground. Obviously, it's hard sometimes to pay attention to certain moments, but I said, he's having one of them days again, because every time the ball went to him, his touch was heavy. And he's picking it up in our half, and I don't like that side because he can't do it. The facts are he can't do it. He needs space to play in. And when he does, he'll find the back of the net. And like you've mentioned, he's better off the bench. We don't that he scored. Get him in, because I'm telling you, if he starts a game, we'll look average compared to how we look with Joseph leading the line.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's nice, and it's nice to, what I do love about him as well. It's something basic, but when Leeds score, he's always the first one. He's always the first one to jump over the player who's scored. He absolutely loves playing for the club. He loves it, and I mean, we've said it from the start. I just want us to give him the time that we gave Archie Gray, because Gray had very, very tough points, especially in around the December period when he got cooked by Jack Clark and cooked by Liam Miller. We stuck by him, and I think we've got to do that with Joseph, because for me he's not had a tough start at all. I actually think
he's in great form.
Joe, I thought it was his best performance at the weekend. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was absolutely brilliant, and that's including the Sheffield Wednesday game where obviously he got those 2 fantastic assists. But what I did like, I mentioned on my stream, where actually the reason was his best game was because we're actually putting the ball in the box. You put the ball in the box and it could ricochet, it could deflect. We had runners, any single time Leeds were going forward, there was 5 or 6 going forward, and it seemed like we actually had a bit of defensive structure. It looked like the midfielders were tucking in a little bit more from the ground anyway. I don't know how it looked on screen, but it was a top performance, and they were actually giving. I felt that the wingers were actually giving Joseph a bit of a chance in this game. That if Joseph misses it might ricochet. Tanaka, Gruev, or whatever might be able to slot it in the bottom corner. But yeah, I thought whipping the balls in is definitely going to aid Joseph.
Yeah. Darren says get him tied to an improved contract. It wouldn't surprise me if that's in the offing. Just hope there's no daft release clause in there like they did with some of the others. I tell you who else needs a contract, mate. Junior Firpo. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he's been top. It's interesting. He didn't really come out of it with any flowers at the weekend. I didn't really. I don't know. I wasn't really looking at him, but maybe that's one of those.
His assist for the goal was a beauty as well. Inch perfect.
Yeah. Massive fan of Firpo and how he's turned it round and proven us all wrong again. That drop down. We can have this conversation about a lot of them, Joe, when they'd make that step up, but that's not a conversation for now. Yeah. But yeah, I just love how aggressive he is. He's so aggressive, and he seems to be getting his position a little bit better. Bogle's won. That is controversial, but I mean, you can hear that at the ground. I was having a couple of arguments, to be honest. It's surprising, I know, but I was having an argument with someone next to me, or healthy debate, which got a bit heated about Bogle. Just the amount of people at Ellen Road who are calling him crap, rubbish, get him out, all this sort of stuff. In fact, we should have kept Ayling, unbelievable. And you hear it all the time. We should have kept Ayling, I couldn't understand it. I still can't understand it.
I probably have to shoulder some blame for that as well, because I think the first few games he was shaky. Then we had the comments of the Sheffield United fans in our head. But since Sheff Wednesday, once he got to grips with I forgot his name now. Anyway, once he got to grips with him, the left winger, it will come to me. But once he got to grips with the left winger at Sheff Wednesday, I don't think he's had a bad game since, if I'm being totally honest, mate. I was obviously critical that he didn't come out to meet Shea Ojo, but no, that's not him. Koleosho. Shea Ojo, bloody hell, he used to play for fucking Liverpool. Koleosho. But outside of that, I think he's been great, and going forward, amazing. So I do think as a fan base, we also need to get them Sheffield United comments out of our mind as well, because he's not putting a foot wrong in games, mate. So I agree with you on that. I think he's been class.
Wilder nearly started crying when they got rid of him. He was, doing his not happy at all. And I think that's the biggest indication of a player. When the fan base initially are upset by it, telling us, no, that's not going to be accepted, blah, 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 why would Bogle come to you? And then for suddenly the rhetoric to change to, he can't defend, he's crap, you've overpaid for him. If he's our defender going forward for the next 3 or 4 years and you've paid £5 million for him, I think that's, you always talk about when you get some clothing, Joe, or I do anyway, it's cost per wear, innit? But cost per play, mate. If he's playing well as well, it's not a bad thing. Yeah.
Do you know what as well? Someone messaged me yesterday. I haven't watched it, but apparently because they drew 0-0 with Portsmouth, he straight away brought up Leeds United and went, well, Leeds United drew 3-3 as well in his post-match presser. So.
Look at this guy.
He's just no need, is there?
He's obsessed.
Why is he even talking about us? I know.
He'll mention Bamford as well. Bamford won't be in the squad, but he'll bring him up.
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's talk about, before we finish, mate, let's talk about these next two before the international break. Norwich and Sunderland away. I think it's shit that they're both away. I think it's shit that we play on a Tuesday and then have to go up to Sunderland on the Friday. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. Leeds haven't conceded away.
I bet it's the furthest trips.
Yeah, I said
this
that.
week. This week in the country,
in the shortest amount of time as well. Tuesday, Friday is a joke.
That's what on a, even if it's a bit of traffic, 6-7 hours down there.
It's not great, is it? Yeah,
Sunderland, Norwich,
exactly.
But
and. Yeah, so we haven't conceded away from home. Now, what I'm actually looking forward to as well, Connie, is because we're both playing on their patch, both teams will play. They will come and play. Reggie, Labrie, they're not going to sit in a low block at the Stadium of Light, which is a very tough place to go, by the way, and it'll be sold out, and you'll have 40, whatever, 50, whatever it is, 40 odd, I think. So that's going to be a tough atmosphere to play in because they're playing well and the fans are on it. You've then got Norwich, who got a good result at the weekend. But I think the most thing I'm excited for is the fact that these teams are going to play. And I believe if you're going to come for a shootout, we're going to win out, Connor. Now, what's your thoughts on the games? But also, what's a decent points return for you over these next two?
Yeah, I think it's... I think we've got to keep our feet on the ground for this because I think there's potential. It could be. I think the clean sheets will go. I do think the goals. We're just up against better teams. I think will travel become a factor? Are we going to have? I mean, look, we'll know a little bit later on today, Joe. But are we going to have Ampadu, Verba, and Rodon potentially out? Is that we're looking at a scenario there where I mean this it's all very, very dependent on that. I don't think Ampadu will be risked. So like you've quite rightly said, I think it's going to be Tanaka and Gruev. How's that balance against a much better team? We'll have to wait and see on that one. I know with this Norwich side, they're very, very aggressive at this moment in time. They love a press. It's almost like when Farke first came there. I'd say it's going to be tough. I think we'll lose the clean sheets, but I think a decent points tally, I'd be over the moon with 4 points. I think 4 points puts us in a really, really strong position. I think anything over 2 is good for Leeds.
Get points away, win your home, right?
Yeah,
that's the
3 points.
I almost feel like 3 is okay.
Yeah.
4 is good. 6 is great. You know, like 6 is amazing. As long as we don't, like, I put a poll in the chat. 2, it's not really. 2's all right, but it's like you want at least 1 win, and we have a great record against Norwich, by the way.
We do, which we never had. We never had back in the day. Do you remember when they'd have like Cameron Jerome and Wes Hoolahan? We'd just get spiced up every single time. But in recent years, I think even it was Gary Monk, wasn't it? Gary Monk 3-2. I think Bielsa won 3-0 down there. I think then we won 3-2. We've got a really good record down there. So yeah, and the beautiful thing is, Joe, you're right. They're both going to come to win. They're not going to do a Burnley. I think Sunderland are probably going to be a bit more potent than West Brom were when West Brom were trying to win the game, but they did look stodgy. We should really talk about West Brom, to be honest. You look at that game and you think, bloody hell. But yeah, I think they're both going to come at us. The home games, which helps for sides in around the top 7, 8, because they're going to come at Leeds. Leeds have that transitional counter-attack now. I mean, look at Norwich last season. They went 2-0 up against us and they were still piling forward and we smacked them on the counter-attack, I think twice. We can do that again. It's going to be tough, Joe, but 3 points I wouldn't be disheartened with. I mean, it'd be interesting. I think if we beat Sunderland, I'd probably be a little bit more happy than beating Norwich if it was just 3 points and we lost one other game. But I think anything over 2 is okay. But then again, you look at, if we got 2 draws, it's not the worst case scenario. I'll tell you what, against, West Brom and Burnley, they're the teams that we've faced in the top 6 so far, I think. And we've got 1 point out of 6. I think we've got to better that against 2 teams who were sort of vying for that top 6.
Yeah. If you get maximum points, I think you're looking at an international break with Leeds in the top 2.
Yeah. I think top 6. And we were talking about the whole Farker thing. If he gets 6 points out the next,
we're only 2 off the top 2, aren't we? So we're taking points off Sunderland. So we jump them. Do you know what I mean? So I think we could be, if we get 6, that is.
We get 6, I think, with the form room, with how strong we look. You're quite right to bring up the development in certain players as well. The defensive record. If we're to get 6 points, you're looking at Leeds and you're going, okay. I mean, this could be a point of which, because of form and how we are right now, it could be a point of which Leeds then go on. And you're thinking, oh, okay, could we
run away train vibes?
but I'm not looking at the championship.
If we get more clean sheets, Connor, at this point, I'm going, no one's going to score against us. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's mad. I just wish that Portsmouth game, fucking hell, man, how they scored them goals, man, because then you're looking at like 1 goal conceded. The
worst one's Burnley when we it's a 1v1 inside 16 seconds, and that changes everything. Because people quite rightly say an early goal does change everything. But mate, I think I don't know. Maybe these games, Joe, and we do talk about the clean sheets. We did get a clean sheet away at West Bromwich Albion, so we have to mention that. I think these 2 games are going to be a step up, and I think we do have to acknowledge the fact that they're going to be steps up for this game. These 2, I think. International break's a joke as well, by the way. It's a joke.
We've still got 1 more after this one as well.
November, mate. November.
Yeah, November, and then it stops till March. Right, so I did put Paul in the chat. What's a good return? 7% went for 2 points, 8% went for 3, 54% went for 4, and 31% went for 6. So I think it's good to see the fan base like saying, 4's decent and that. So, and I think we can get 4 at a minimum. I think we will win one of them because, just if you're going to have a gun, shootout with us, then we're going to win, I think.
Shootout.
Yeah. I love that, man. What a film that is, by the way.
What a film.
What's he say? Like a Western.
He's got really pissed off, didn't he? That fucking shootout.
It's brilliant. 4 points would be immense. Folks, we'll be hearing from Farker very shortly. I think 12:30 today, so I'll be live after that as well. Connor, what have you got coming up on the channel? You mentioned you'd recorded. Did you do any vloggage? Have I missed that? Have you done all?
I didn't, mate. I didn't do any vloggage. No. It's as me and you know, doing vlogs in and around Ellen Road can be quite difficult because
it's
Ellen Road people, we have a very unique fan base where I feel like if I did try to do some vlogging, someone might punch the phone out my hand. So
get into a fight.
So it can be quite difficult doing that. We're very unique in that respect. But what I will say is I've got a bit of a stadium development chat coming up where we can expand. Cool. There's been some discussions this morning comparing us to the Etihad and how Leeds are going to develop. So that's literally going on in about 5 minutes, mate. So that's what I'm doing now. But yeah, obviously we've got the news, haven't we? And then is that live? Is that live or pre-recorded? It's just pre-recorded, mate. Okay. But we've got the debrief coming later on tonight as well. But it'd be good to get you back on, mate, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Just give me a shout, mate. Just give me a shout.
Get you back on if you fancy coming on.
Yeah, man. Just
putting you on the spot live now, aren't I?
No, I don't think I've got anything on later on, mate. To be honest, I'm doing the press conference reaction, and I'm just going to leave it, I think, for the day. My bloody car's got check engine light on, and I've had it for a few days. I'm fuming. So I've got to take it to this garage, and if he goes, mate, I'll be like, onto that guy, you bastard.
Right. So, Mr. Wainman, do you fancy coming on the debrief at 6 p.m. today?
1 sec.
Look at him.
Just get my calendar on. Yeah, no. I did have a show with Gaz, but he can't make Monday, so yeah, I don't mind doing that for you, mate.
There you go. We'll see Joe on the debrief later on. Then
who else is on?
The two likely lads, Bill and Ben, Ben and Jerry.
Good stuff. I'll come as a backup to Oscar. I feel he gets battered sometimes by you two on there. I might wear a cap to and wear it like.
Do you know what, as well though? It's interesting. Gabe's trying to soften now. He's trying to soften, and it's an interesting strategy. I keep trying to go for his jugular a little bit because he's trying to soften up. Yeah.
Good stuff. Right, I think we'll leave it there. It's been a really, really good stream. Really enjoyed it. Thanks, Connor, for coming on as always. We'll be on One Leeds next Monday. When the international break is obviously in full swing. Hey, do you remember that week? Anyway, I'll see you in a bit, folks. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon for Presser anyway. Bye-bye now, folks.